Let's see if I've got enough voice to get through this. Hey, what's up, bookworms? You're going to get low energy Mike today because I'm still getting my voice back, and I wouldn't even know if this is what you would call having it back enough to do this. But I don't want to get so behind in my schedule that I just don't do any videos. So if you guys can tough it out, I can tough it out. I'm not going to do anything big, just a couple of catch-up videos here for the month. I think that'll be the best way to ease my way back into the schedule here. But yes, try to bear with me here. Now, I know if you are one of those who only follows the channel because my voice is nice, well, you might struggle through this, but I'm going to try to struggle through it here and tell you guys about the month of September. I'm going to begin, like always, with what I read in the month of December. I read 8 books and 5 manga. Now, those books were The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury, Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams, The Wisdom of Crowds by Joe Abercrombie, Recursion by Blake Crouch, We Are Legion by Dennis E. Taylor, Dune by Frank Herbert, you might have heard of him, and Needful Things by some dude named Stephen King. And then for the manga, I read 2 volumes of Berserk, volumes 24 and 25, and I read all 3 volumes of Uzumaki. Now, I am not going to count Uzumaki towards my potential book of the month for September because I want to save that for I guess, a spooky season, which is going on right now. I just kind of cut ahead of the schedule. I didn't expect to finish it in a day and a half like I did. So kind of like I did with Wizard of Crowds last month, where I'm going to move it forward to the actual release date. I'm going to put that to where I originally had it on the schedule. So of all these books here, I think I did reviews for a couple of them. I did Why You Should Read for another. And pretty much, if I kind of just talk about like my highs and lows here, I think obviously I'm not going to count rereads towards a book of the month, but I had several highs. I'm not going to mention the one I'm going to pick for my book of the month here. Some of my lows, obviously, We Are Legion was, I don't want to say disappointment, but it was kind of to me. I think it was one of those where I like it enough to keep going with the series, but not enough right now. Nothing I'm going to force myself to do right now. But yeah, I'd say my expectations were a little high on it. It's kind of got that Ready Player One syndrome in that, yeah, I like all the pop culture references, but the story's just like, okay. That's kind of how I felt about it. But, it's kind of like I'm doing with Poppy War, which if I haven't told you guys, I'm finishing Poppy War from my schedule right now. It's not a DNF. It's a finish later because I've got so much other stuff I want to read. I'm not going to waste it reading stuff that I'm not enjoying. And I wouldn't say I'm not enjoying Poppy War as much. And the same with the, God, what's that series called? Bobiverse. Is that I just, it's nothing that I feel like I need to read immediately. It's just something that's like, I don't know. I'll get back to it eventually. So, but of all these, I think the one that I'm going to pick for book of the month is going to be, and I know you're thinking, well, Mike, a Joe Abercrombie book came out. That's going to be your one. Believe it or not, it's going to be Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. And I think it's because this is a book that I read at the very beginning of the month, and it has been stuck in my head for the entire month. Won't be the last one of those interruptions, I think. But with this Childhood's End, I think it's just kind of something that's got a lasting legacy for a reason. Because if it's stuck in my head for a month like this, that means it's something that was very, very, impactful. And I think with the Childhood's End, just the ideas presented in that book were not just stuff that people weren't willing to do in the time period that he was, but it was just, it's one of those things that was so influential that I can see now to see why this is such a legendary novel. And with Arthur C. Clarke in that book, I think he brought forward a lot of ideas that have just been continuously ripped off, and especially in sci-fi invasion movies ever since. So very, very special book. I read it in like a couple of days because it was just so good. It's really not that long, obviously. I recommend it to everybody, not even if you aren't into sci-fi. I think you'll still like a lot of the themes and the messages in that book because it's stuff that was presented, 80 years ago, 60 years ago, something like that. I don't know. It's older. Let's do the math. It came out in the 50s. So that would be like 70-year-old book. And a lot of those ideas, I think, could still be presented today. So definitely a lasting legacy in that book, and a book that I cannot give my book of the month and more pleasure than recommending that one to you. I think you guys will like it quite a bit. Now let's talk about a little channel growth for the month. Now I like to do these quickly because I know some people don't like the math, but for those who do, 2,824 new subs this month. That's up 510 from August. That's a obviously a really good month. I didn't expect the shift there. I think that, Sci-Fi September brought a few more new eyeballs to the channel. And that's always a good thing. 335,000 views. That's up 4,000 from August, and 55,000 hours of watch time, which is actually down 1,000 from August. But I did do more of those talk about nothing and some palaver episodes, I think, last month. That's why I got my hours a little higher there. But as always, engagement and view time is what really matters on the channel, not subscribers. But it's always fun to see those subscriber numbers going up, just because it's fun when you hit some of those milestones as a content creator. So we passed over 56,000 now. So fun times, fun times, obviously. But yeah, Sci-Fi September brought some new eyes to the channel, so that's a great thing. I'm hoping spooky season maybe can do the same. I think I learned some lessons from last year with the spooky content, but we're going to see what happens. Let's talk about some of the most popular content from the month. Now, I did 23 videos in September. Okay, now that's about average for me. I take a couple days off a week. I say I'm only going to do 3 videos a week, and then I end up doing 5. So hey, 23 out of 30 days for the month. I think things are going pretty well there, right? But I had a lot to talk about with Sci-Fi September. I want to make sure I got all in. I actually got everything I had planned to do, except that Why You Should Read for Saga by Brian K. Vaughan, which I'll end up doing later. But, it's just one of those things. I didn't plan on the family getting sick and now me getting sick and stuff like that. It's just things you can never say what's going to happen. But let's talk about some of the most popular content here. Obviously, the number one here, 21,000 views. This was my discussion with Joe Abercrombie. Bucket list item for me, getting to talk to my favorite fantasy author. That's obviously something that I never would have imagined when I started this channel. And people who have been here pretty much since the beginning have told me it was like watching your friend finally get a date with that girl he's been talking about forever. So interesting analogy, but I'll take it. It was a lot of fun. He is very much a gentleman and a scholar, and I almost forgive him for killing all my favorite characters now. But fun conversation, talked for an hour and a half, and he never once made it feel like it was a rush or anything like that. Even though before we started, we said we'd only talk an hour. So great guy, and obviously, I'm going to read everything he puts out going forward. I know you're like, hey, but you haven't read Shattered Seas yet. That's the plan for next year, guys. There won't be no new First Law book next year. I think there's going to be a short story collection, but that don't count. So no new First Law novel next year. So I'll be busting out Shattered Seas to get my Joe Abercrombie fix. Number 2 was the August 2021 book haul. That's 12,000 views, obviously. Those are always going to do really well. Not as good as my birthday book haul, but that's because I think the thumbnail for my birthday book haul was just like absurd, which I understand. But yeah, book hauls, what else can you say about them? It's just an opportunity for me to say thank you to people who sent me a lot of stuff and kind of talk about, hey, sometimes you got to spoil yourself, which I did a little bit more this month. So when you guys see the September one, it's going to be much smaller than those 2, but I did, get some new things. And I definitely want to take some time to thank those people. And then my spooky season plans, that was 8,000 views. People love a TBR video. I have learned this over the last 2.5 years. A TBR video will outpace a review video every single time. So it's no surprise there. But like I said, it makes me hopeful that, I'm going to retain some audience from the horror stuff this year, because last year I think obviously it was a big mistake. It was a big mistake devoting an entire month exclusively to one genre. I felt like that alienated a lot of people. But, I'm still a rookie at this, guys. I'm still learning, what people want and things like that. I say I'm gonna make what I want in the channel, but I also like to listen. I like to give the people what they want, and they didn't want an entire month of 31 days of horror. I understand that now. So with this, I feel like doing the regular stuff. I'm gonna be doing some Malazan videos in there, the reviews, and I'm obviously gonna be doing some horror reviews. But it's not gonna be just horror this month. But those are the things that I'm gonna read. Then with 7,000 views, more Abercrombie. This was my standard review for Wisdom of Crowds, the last in the Age of Madness trilogy. Again, I never really expect sequel books to do very well, so the fact that it did that well is actually surprising to me. Again, I feel like I'm definitely not a braggart at all. I really don't think I am. If you guys think I am, I apologize for coming off that way. I'm not. But I feel like I was talking about First Law on these booktube streets before anybody else was. So I'm glad that people have kind of followed along, and if I've gotten anybody, and I've gotten people to read the series just based off of the stuff I've said about it, then hey, mission accomplished, So that's really great. And Wisdom of Crowds, a lot of positive things to say in it, and a very good ending to that trilogy. And so I'm glad I was able to get that review out on release day. as a thank you to Orbit and for Mr. Abercrombie himself, making sure I got a book in time for release day to review. Yeah, this is hard, guys. This is very, very hard. And I hope it's not as hard to listen to as it sounds like it is. It sounds really bad. Last up, we got the 7,000 views. My As the Wheel Turns, as we're calling it, is the Wheel of Time after show that Madison Goodyear and I have planned. I'll link her channel below if you guys don't know. She is going to co-host that with me, and we're just going to be doing after show for the Wheel of Time show on Amazon. But we said, hey, what's a great way to introduce the show was to talk about a breakdown for that teaser trailer that they put out. So that was a fun video to make, and there's a lot of fun feedback in there and things, we never pretend to be experts, so with the experts are in the comments section letting us know what we got wrong and right. So I always do appreciate those wheelies who do stuff like that. Some of my personal faves that you wouldn't say were in the top 5 here. I'm glad I finally got to review Ender's Game. Like I said, that was one that I kind of put off for a while due to a lot of the lightning rod of criticism that Orson Scott Card's become lately. But I felt like it was a good time to talk about that book and why I love it and why it's second only to Dune as far as my favorite sci-fi books go. And I love getting to talk about it, as well as Jurassic Park, probably a top 10 book of all time for me. It's my favorite book from my second favorite author of all time. So I'm glad I finally got to talk about that one for the Crichton reread. And another one I kind of like my top 10 Star Wars Expanded Universe novels, because I've said it before, and I know I sound like a broken record for constant listeners. I'm sorry about that. I think that there's no other universe that I've spent more time in, both in the movies and on the page, than Star Wars. I've read over 70 Star Wars novels, some of them numerous times. I've read the Thrawn trilogy at least 3 or 4 times. So it's something that I wanted to kind of put a spotlight on because, yeah, Star Wars EU stuff, or as some call it now, Legends, it doesn't do big numbers on BookTube, but it's something that I love. It's never going to be bringing hundreds of new viewers to the channel, but the ones who do appreciate it will appreciate those videos. So I'm glad that I can actually do that for them. Now, this is, guys, if you look at some of these numbers here, these are why people have been asking why I don't do more than like 5 or 6, just single book reviews per month. And this is why, guys, because look, I can make a review of the book I just finished reading, and 3% of my audience will watch it. I can make a book about what I plan to read, or a weekly update, and half my audience will watch it. And no, it's not all about the views and stuff like that. But again, I've said numerous times, guys, I want to make content that people want to watch. So I'm listening to the audience. If they're not watching something, that means it's not what they want. So I want to be a people pleaser. I want the crowd that is here to enjoy everything that I make. So I'm never going to stop making book reviews. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that's why I don't do 10 to 15 solo book reviews per month. That's why right there. It's just they don't generate the traffic. It's like if you do a spoiler review, people say, well, you can't do spoilers because I haven't read it yet. And then you do one spoiler free. They're like, well, I've read it. I want to hear you talk about some stuff. And it's just, there's no happy medium there, So it's frustrating as a content creator, but it is what it is. And like I said, I just want to give the people what they want. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. As for some goals for October, well, first is going to be to get my voice back, because this is killing me probably as much as it's killing you guys. But I think just to be a little bit more successful with the horror content than I was in 2020. I had a couple. Look, the biggest video on this channel that's not about a Kindle was my top 10 horror novels last year. It's got I think the last I checked, it was like 180,000 views or something. So there's clearly an audience out there for it. I've just got to figure out a way to get that audience to watch other stuff on my channel. That's the goal here going forward. But yeah, just you live and learn with these things. Like I said, you just pay attention the data trends, the numbers and things like that, the watch time, the engagement, and that's kind of what you go for. And if you're just someone who just wants to please their audience, as I am, because like I said, guys, this is never going to be something I'm going to do as a full-time job. It is just a hobby. But I do want to be, I'm a people pleaser. I like to make people happy. So if that's what they're looking for, then I'm going to make it. That's kind of what I've always said. Now, I'm never going to read something I don't want to read, but that's a whole different conversation. But I don't really have a subscriber goal or anything like that, guys. Like I said, my goal this year was to hit 50,000. We hit that already, so everything else is gravy. I guess you want me to have like a really aggressive goal. I would say like 65,000 by the end of the year. But I would need like over 100 subs a day, and I don't see that happening. But wilder things have happened. I never thought I'd hit 10,000 on this channel. So we'll see. Look, as always, look, the goal in this channel is just to stay positive, make it feel like a welcoming environment for everyone. That's why I'm here. That's what I want to do. I want to provide that outlet for people who are still just wanting to talk about the books. That's why I'm here. So what was you guys' book for the month of September? Are you fighting the throat crud like I am? Drop in the comments and let me know. And hopefully the next time we talk, I'll sound better than this.